Good morning, everyone. Sorry, good afternoon, everyone. Is the screen visible to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. See, what we have seen in the last lecture, actually we have seen one big derivation that is about the how to derive a Lagrange's equations of motion from the our D'Alembert's principle, right? So let me show you that note so that you can understand what we have seen in the last lectures, right? Actually, there is some problem for sharing the screen. So let me go for whatever we will start now. Okay, so we have seen Lagrange's equations of motion, and after that we have seen the cases for that. That is conservative system. What will be the Lagrange's equation in case of a conservative system, and what is a Lagrange's equation in case of non-conservative system, and what is a Lagrange's equation in case of a partially conservative system. Okay.
मॅम तुमचा व्हॉइस खूप लो आहे.
Okay. Is it audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it low or is it good for you? Hello?
It's good, ma'am.
So what we have seen is actually we have seen the Lagrange's equations of motion and we have seen the cases for Lagrange's equations of motion, that is what will happen for conservative and non-conservative system and partially conservative system. Okay. Let me write down those equations. We have derived the equation. The equation was d by dt of, in case of conservative and non-conservative, we have got the same equation. D by dt of dou L by dou Qj dot minus dou L by dou Qj is equal to 0. This is a case in case of conservative as well as in case of non-conservative system. Okay. What will happen in case of a partially conservative system? In that case, we have obtained some different type of a equation. What was the difference in that? Simply the equation was same, but instead of having a 0 on RHS, there was a different term. What is that different term is Qj d dash, right? Qj d dash was a different term which we have obtained in case of a partially conservative. What is the meaning of partially conservative? That means it consists of both the things. That means it may be consisting of conservative as well as non-conservative. That means if your bike is going with a constant speed, that will be conservative case. But if suppose rain is there, some wind is there, due to rain or wind, you may stop your bike. That is what a partially conservative. That means the dissipative forces are happening so that your motion will be stopped. Okay, so what is a dissipative force? The forces which try to destroy the motion. Okay, is there any doubt for this?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Let me go for the next one. That is, we will see now the example based on the Lagrange's equations of motion. Okay. So let me go for the example. The first example that we'll see is of a non-conservative force in the presence of frictional force on the system. So what is an example? We have an example of non-conservative force in presence of frictional force. Now, what do you mean by frictional force? That we have seen already. Frictional force means what? If you suppose you're traveling anywhere and due to some problem, just like the road is very rough, or due to any type of a frictional type of a force. That means suppose you are walking on a plane, uh, just like it is very plain surface. At that time, you need a very small amount of force to walk. And if suppose it is somewhat like a height, okay, just like if you are traveling on a some arbitrary place जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा रोड खराब है, तो at that time you need a some more amount of a force to derive as well as to walk. Okay, so these kind of forces we called as a frictional forces. Okay, right. So suppose you are climbing on your hills. अगर आप कोई पहाड़ पे चल रहे हो तो at that time you need a more force. Why? Because that is due to frictional, right? That frictional force that is uh, happening due to our road is rough. Okay, so in that case, what we are going to see the example of non-conservative force in presence of a frictional force. Okay, so we are going to see now if the frictional force is proportional to velocity of the particle, right? Because we know that already we have seen frictional force अगर है तो आपको velocity increase करना पड़ेगा, right? Obviously, because if suppose you are going with a constant speed of 40, your bike speed is 40, but if suppose there is a some rough type of a road, so at that time you cannot go with the same speed, right? If you want to go with the same speed, the you will obviously it will not be possible to go. So hence you have to increase your speed, or we may say you have to increase your velocity. Okay, if you are going to increase the velocity, you are going to accelerate your bike, then only you can move in a forward position. Okay, have you understood this? What we are provided with non-conservative force in present of a frictional force. Okay, so now we have to find out the equation of a motion, right? So what we have to start with, the frictional force is proportional to velocity. Okay, let me start with the frictional force. What is given to us? We can say the frictional force is directly proportional to velocity. Correct, na? Is there any doubt for this? Because if the frictional force is there, obviously we need a more velocity. Correct? So now we can say this is directly proportional relation. I can write in terms of equivalence. Now frictional force I will denote by FID, that is force due to FID means dissipative force. What do you mean by dissipative force? The forces which try to destroy the motion. Okay, that is we have seen in the case of a partially conservative system. FID means forces which try to destroy your motion. In the frictional also there are due to frictional our motion will be stopped if we are going with the same velocity. So if you have to increase the velocity, that means we are applying the exactly opposite force for the friction so that we can move in the forward position. So this FID I can write it is equal to, I will write it is nothing but minus of some proportionality constant lambda I into Ri dot. Okay, what is velocity? Velocity I can write velocity is nothing but rate of change of a position vector. So this we can denote it by Ri dot, right? Ri dot is nothing but rate of change of a position vector. So what we can say now, this dissipative force is exactly equals to, now this proportionality constant we have replaced with the constant term lambda I and Ri dot velocity as it is. This negative sign is due to frictional force. Whenever it is going to exist, we will be applying the force in the opposite direction. Okay, so as it is trying to destroy the motion, the negative sign, that's why it is introduces. Okay, have you understood this? Proportionality is converted now to equality with the help of some constant, and the negative is for frictional force. Okay, as frictional force is going to oppose your motion, so that's why negative sign is introduced. So what is lambda I? Lambda is a proportionality constant. Okay, now as we have seen forces, there is one function capital R which is given in our physics notes. Capital R is equals to 1 upon 2 summation over I lambda I Ri dot square. Okay, what is this capital R? Actually, we have derived frictional forces by a function of the form. Okay, so frictional forces we are going to divide. We are going to find out with the help of some function R is equals to 1 upon 2 1 upon 2 summation over I lambda I Ri dot square. Okay, this is very equivalent to our kinetic energy. Kinetic energy we can write T is equals to, what we write, kinetic energy is equal to 1 upon
half mv square.
MI square, or we can write it as simply Ri dot square. So instead of having Mi, we have a lambda I, right? So this is what a proportionality constant. Ri dot square is nothing but your velocity square. So whenever you are going to have a frictional force, we have some kind of a function R which is given by 1 by 2 summation over I lambda I Ri dot square. Actually, the derivation for this capital R is not provided in our syllabus. Those who want, you can see in the in our book of Satya Prakash. Okay, I'm going to share this after completion of your first chapter, because up to now you should prepare your own notes, right? So capital R is given by the, and this kind of constant we are going to call it as Rayleigh's dissipation constant. Rayleigh's dissipation function or constant. Okay, Rayleigh's dissipation function. Okay, so Rayleigh has introduces this with the help of a frictional force. If frictional force is there, this kind of a function we are going to have. So kinetic energy, it is very similar to energy. Dissipation, for why we are written dissipation? Because we have dissipative force. Dissipative force means what? The force which try to destroy the motion. And with the help of that, this function has been introduced. Okay. Is the screen visible to everyone now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let me go for the next one. So now, as we are having frictional forces as well as non-conservative force, so we are going to now use a new function, that is, as it is a dissipative force is given. So consider now QJD. Sorry, QJD we are going to consider. So QJD we will write it as, it is equals to summation over I FID, that is dissipative force, into dou Ri by dou Qj. How this derivation we have found? Actually, we have written one equation Qj, generalized force, is equal to summation over I Fi dou Ri by dou Qj. Right? Qj is equal to summation over I Fi dou Ri by dou Qj. This derivation we have already seen in case of a component of a generalized force. Okay. So with the help of this, we have, instead of having a simple Qj, we have a dissipative function here. Okay, it's force due to that is called a dissipative force. So whatever the d we have introduces here, instead of having simply Fi, right? So now, what is the value of Fi? We have calculated Fi is nothing but minus of lambda I Ri dot. So here we will substitute the value of Fid, that is equals to summation over I as it is, and here I will introduce minus lambda I Ri dot into dou Ri by dou Qj, right? So this we have introduced as why, because we have calculated the value of a dissipative force and here we have substituted value of a dissipative force. Okay, so now we have to find out the value. Before going to next value, we must know while deriving our equation of a Lagrange's equation of motion, we have come to this equation, that is equation number 8. After equation number 8, we have come to this notation, dou Ri by dou Qj is equals to dou Ri dot by dou Qj dot. Those who remember, we have derived a mini equation while deriving the Lagrange's equation of motion. At that time, we have come to dou Ri by dou Qj is equal to dou Ri dot by dou Qj dot. For our simplicity, as here Ri dot is there, so we are going to replace this term. So we'll replace this term by dou Ri dot by dou Qj. So we'll have here minus lambda I Ri dot into dou Ri dot by dou Qj dot. Okay, now again we have to do some adjustment. I hope now you can understand this adjustment. This minus sign I have taken outside, this summation as it is. Summation is common for all. Now, if suppose I am going to take this dou by dou Qj dot here outside, so what will be there in the bracket? Okay, constant which will remain as it is. So I have to adjust 1 by 2 right here. So 1 by 2, I will write here Ri dot square. Okay, now let us see whether whatever the equation this we have obtained will be the same as we have equation. जो इक्वेशन हमने डिराइव किया था वही है या नहीं. Okay, this minus and summation will be as it is. Okay, now if I am going to find out the derivative of this, what will happen derivative of this? This, let me write down here this 1 by 2 as it is, lambda I will be constant, that will be as it is. What is the derivative of this function, that is Ri dot square with respect to Qj dot? It will be nothing
2Ri dot.
2Ri dot into, as Ri dot and Qj dot are different, so I have to write down dou Ri dot by dou Qj dot, correct? So here if you see this 2 get cancelled, so what we remains, we will come back to our equation lambda Ri dot as it is and dou Ri dot by dou Qj dot. So whatever this equation we have done with the adjustment will be again come back to our equation. We have done simply adjustment. Why we have done adjustment? Because we know about the Rayleigh's dissipation constant or function, it is 1 by 2 lambda I Ri dot square. So this we have adjusted in such a way that this 2 will be get cancelled, Ri dot as it is. We have to again differentiate Ri dot with respect to Qj dot. Barabar na? Because if x and y are two different functions, whenever you are going to differentiate, we have to write down dou y by dou x, no? And again here also, as if it is here Ri dot only. अगर Ri dot here होता तो obviously हम क्या लिखते dou Ri dot simply, right? In the very similar way, we have done the derivation. Okay, so Ri dot is not Ri dot. Again, we have differentiated with respect to Qj dot. So now we have to the substituted value of a capital R. Now we will substitute the value of capital R. Here what we have, it is Qj d. It is equals to minus of summation over I. Let me take the summation as it is inside. So we can take dou by dou Qj dot as it is. Okay. Inside this summation, if I take, this will be capital R. So value of this QJD I have found is dou by dou capital R by dou Qj dot. Okay. What was our equation in case of partially conservative? This is an example for partially conservative because we have come across the non-conservative force as well as a frictional force. So that's why we have arrived to our partially conservative case. And in case of partially conservative system, we have derived one equation. What was our equation is d by dt of, that was our dou L by dou Qj dot, right? Dou L by dou Qj dot minus dou L by dou Qj is equal to, what was our equation? Is was equal to Qj d. So now what is the value of Qjd here? It is nothing but minus of dou R by dou Qj dot. So instead of having this, the value here as dou R by dou Qj dot. Okay. So hence in case of a frictional force and non-conservative force, we have this equation. Okay. Any doubt for this? If not, we'll go for the next derivation. डाउट आहे का कुठे?
No, ma'am.
मॅडम ते
हा
ऍडजस्टमेंट केलेले मॅडम वरचं.
हा ते ऍडजस्टमेंट इथे बाजूला लिहिलंय ना. आता हे ऍडजस्टमेंट काय झालेलं आहे? इथे आपण काय लिहिले 1/2 लॅम्बडा RI डॉट स्क्वेअर बरोबर. आता ह्याचा डेरिव्हेटिव्ह घ्यावा लागेल ना तुम्हाला ह्या फंक्शनचा विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू Qj डॉट. लॅम्बडा हे तर प्रोपोर्शनॅलिटी कॉन्स्टंट आहे, हे 1/2 पण कॉन्स्टंट आहे. RI डॉट स्क्वेअरचा डेरिव्हेटिव्ह कसं काढणार आहे तुम्ही? हॅलो
हॅलो मॅम.
हा RI डॉट स्क्वेअरचा डेरिव्हेटिव्ह काय येणार आहे? Okay, let me go with simple example. What will be x square derivative?
2x मॅम.
हाँ
With
2x.
respect to x.
हाँ with respect to x 2x येणार आहे. आता with respect to y केलं तर काय येणार आहे? 2x and again you have to write down here dx by dy ना, dou x by dou y or dou x by dou y. So here
Yes ma'am.
I am writing here. So what is the derivative of RI dot square with respect to Qj dot? That is nothing but 2 RI dot again dou RI dot by dou Qj. Is it clear now?
Yes ma'am.
So we are going to have dou RI dot by dou Qj dot. So this dou RI dot as it is, dou RI dot by dou Qj dot. So this 2 get cancelled. So what we remain again, we have the same term lambda I RI dot as it is. This is RI dot, this is lambda I and dou RI dot by dou Qj dot as it is. Okay.
Okay ma'am.
Let me go for the next one. That the next example. That means we are going to derive the Newton's laws of motion from Lagrange's equations of motion. Okay. Now I hope you have understood what are Newton's laws of motion. I have given you one homework to find out what are the Newton's laws of motion, first, second and third law. केलेत का homework? What is first Newton's first law of motion, Newton's second law and third law? I'm not going to ask about third law because everyone know about this. Every action has equal and opposite reaction, right? That is Newton's third law. What about first and second? Kelet ka homeworks?
Madam, first law, the particle remains at rest as until and unless it is म्हणजे applied by any another force.
The particle remains at rest unless and until external force is applied. What about second law for the Newton's?
Momentum, madam. The rate of change is proportional to the applied force, and change of momentum occurs in the direction of force.
Is it like this?
Second law of Newton's second law of
Force is equal to mass into acceleration ma'am.
That is what law na. In very simple language we can say force is equal to mass into acceleration. It is nothing but Newton's second law. And that we can write in the terms of sentences, that is acceleration of object as produced by the force is directly proportional to magnitude of net force. And that is we can say force is nothing but mass into acceleration. अगर आप force extra apply करोगे by first law of motion, आपका ऑब्जेक्ट एज इट इज रेस्ट पे होगा जब तक आप उसको एक्सटर्नल फोर्स अप्लाई नहीं करोगे, राइट? सो व्हेनेवर यू आर गोइंग टू अप्लाई द एक्सटर्नल फोर्स देन it will be moving. Okay, so if you are applying the force, that means you are going to have acceleration. So that the second law tells us that it is nothing but force is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, so we are going to now prove the force is equal to mass into acceleration, which will imply that we are going to have prove the first and second law. Okay, third is no obvious for everyone. That means if you are going to have any force, that is for every action there is equal and opposite reaction, right? So now we are going to derive F is equals to ma from the Lagrange's equations of motion. This is very important. So be concentrate on the things that how to derive this equation of a Newton's second law, that is F is equals to m into a. Okay, so for that we are going to consider a single particle, okay, of mass m moving in the space due to application of a force. Instead of considering any object, we have a single particle, okay, a single particle of mass m is moving in the space, okay. So as it is in the space, we can consider, suppose this is upper 3D system, that is x, y. This is x, y, z axis, and the particle is moving in the 3D space. So if a particle is moving in the 3D space, obviously, as from the generalized coordinate, we know that how many degrees of freedom it will have? 3 degrees of freedom. And what are generalized coordinate? X, Y, Z itself will give you the position of a particle. Okay, what do you mean by generalized coordinate? That will describe you the position of a particle, or rather we can say least possible number of linearly independent coordinate which are going to describe the position of the particle. Okay, and degrees of freedom is nothing but the number of generalized coordinate, right? Whatever the number of generalized coordinate we are going to get, that is nothing but the degrees of freedom. So here we are going to have the particle is moving in the 3D space. If a particle is moving in the 3D space, so what we have, it is moving in the space due to some application of a force, right? So directly xyz will be the coordinate, because there is no any other thing given to us. Is it given that the particle is at some x-axis only, or at a y-axis or z-axis? It is not given. So there is no restriction, no limitation, that constant on the particle. Okay. So how many generalized coordinate it will have? 3 generalized coordinate, because there is no restriction. So hence we can have 3 generalized coordinate for a particle, right? So let xyz be the Cartesian coordinate which describe the motion of a particle. For any particle in the 3D space, we can have xyz simply will describe you the position of a particle at any point, right? So now we can say this will work as a generalized coordinate. The Cartesian coordinate, whatever we have, will work as a generalized coordinate because there is no constraint. If there is a constraint, then only we are going to apply the things, right? If there is restriction, there is geometrical restriction or anything else, then only we will have the generalized coordinate. And actually there is no restriction, so we can say the Cartesian coordinate will work as a generalized coordinate, right? So hence now we can have as F is a force, that is what an important part in this. So this F is a force which can be now split into 3 parts. Okay, the force F can be split into 3 parts, that is Fx, Fy, Fz. How you can say this is Fx, Fy, Z? That is a component of a force acting in X, component of a force acting in Y direction, component of a force acting in the Z direction, right? Whenever you are going to apply the force, that force acting in every direction, right? Just like suppose if you are applying in single direction, that is what a different thing. But here what is given to us, a particle is moving in the 3D space. So due to application of force, the force may be applied in either X, Y or Z direction. Okay. So we can say now the force is divided into 3 parts, that is component of force. Okay. There are 3 component of force, that is force acting in X direction, force acting in Y direction, force acting in the Z direction. So hence, now let us go for the kinetic energy. What will be the kinetic energy T? We can have T is equals to, as force is applied, there will be a velocity. So let me go for the kinetic energy is 1 upon 2 mv square. No need to write MIVI because we are considering only single particle. So this equation I can write in terms of r, that is 1 by 2 r dot square. Okay, let me name this as equation number 1. Now what is r? What is r is nothing but your xi plus yj plus zk. Why this is xi plus yj plus zk? Because this is what a position vector of a particle. In the first lecture we have seen what is ijk. These are nothing but the unit vector in the direction of xyz, right? It is just like your basis vector, right? Any vector can be written in the linear combination of a basis vector. What are x, y, z? These are scalars, right? No, I hope you come across this. Any vector, say 2, 3, 4. If we have any vector 2, 3, 4, if I want to write down in the form of a basis vector, so what I will write is actually it is equals to 2
2
times
0 0.
0, 0 plus 3 times 0, 1, 0 plus 4 times 0, 0, 1. So any vector now I can write in the form of a linear combinations of a basis vector. That is what our position vector r can be written as xi plus yj plus zk, right? So now let me write down what will be r dot. What is the value of r dot if I am going to differentiate? That I have told you in initial lectures. So that I can write it as x dot I plus y dot j plus z dot k, because these are going to change now. If you are going to change the value, or if you are going to have a different position, that will be x dot, y dot and z dot, right? So now what will be the value of r dot square? So r dot square is nothing but, now let me take the square of this. Let me evaluate x dot I plus y dot j plus z dot k into x dot I plus y dot j plus z dot k, right? R dot square. So multiplication of these two. How we are going to evaluate the multiplication? The I dot I is 1, right? Why I dot I is 1? The dot product of any two vector is given by norm of A, norm of B, cos of theta. This was also homework for you to clear the basic points, right? I dot I, how it works? I dot I is equals to mod I into cos between I. What is the angle between I and I itself? It will be cos of
0.
0. Cos 0 is 1.
1.
Right? What is the value of mod I? Mod I is equals to 1. Right? Mod I both are 1. Why they are 1? Because they are unit
vectors.
direction of x, y and z axis, I, j, k. So how you are going to work? X dot x dot will be x dot square. I dot I is 1. What will be I dot j? I told you. What is I dot j? How you are going to evaluate?
0. 0.
Norm of j. What is the angle between I and j? That is angle
90.
between
90.
I. 90. It is cos 90. Okay.
0.
It will be 0. So what we similarly for k, what is an angle between I and k? Again x and z. What is the angle between x and z? These are, here is I, here is j, here is k. So it will be again 0. So next term we can say now directly as y dot square, because j dot I will be 0. P remains with j dot j, it is 1 plus z dot square. So what is the value of r dot square? We have obtained it, x dot square plus y dot square plus z dot square, right? So let me substitute in our equation number 1, that is t is equal to, what is the value? 1 upon 2m. R dot square is, we have written the value of r dot square is x dot square plus y dot square plus z dot square. Okay. Is there any doubt up to this? If not, we'll go for the next.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now let us come to our Lagrange's equations of motion that we have derived. What was our equation? Qj is equal to, the original equation we have obtained is d by dt of dou t by dou qj dot minus dou t by dou qj. This was our equation. T, we have a value of t, and what are our qj now? Qj's are nothing but your generalized coordinates. So what are qj's? Qj's are nothing but your x, y, z. So now the same equation I can write. So you can write the j is running for 1, 2, 3. Why it is for 1, 2, 3? Because how many generalized coordinate we have? 3 generalized coordinate. Because we are discussing in the 3D space. So x, y, z itself work as a generalized coordinate. Here I have written this general Cartesian coordinate will be working as generalized coordinate because there is no constraint or restriction. So hence we can say the value of j will run for 3 only because we are discussing in the 3D space. Okay. So let me go for the next one. Can I write here as this q1, q2, q3? Okay, now whatever the derivative we are going to take, that we have to know. q1, q2, q3 are nothing but your x, y, z. Okay, बरोबर है?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me write down for first one. What will be the value of a q1? Okay, so let me write down for j equal to 1, it is q1 is equal to d by dt of dou t by dou x dot. Now what is the value of q1 here? It is x, and it is qj dot, that's why x dot, minus what is the next one? Dou t by dou x. So as we know the value of t, now we can find out the derivative of t with respect to x dot, derivative of t with respect to x. Okay. Similarly, let me write down the value of q2 also. Okay. So what will be the value of q2 now? D by dt of rho t by, what is the value of q2 here, as we are going to substitute j equal to 2. What is the q2? Dou y dot minus dou t by dou y. Similarly, we can have the value of q3. What is the value of q3 is equals to d by dt of dou t by dou z dot minus dou t by dou z. Okay. Now let us evaluate one by one. So if for evaluating these, let me go for qj, because for this equations we can evaluate this part. Okay, because if we know value of t, we can evaluate derivative of this t with respect to x dot, derivative of t with respect to x. But what about q1, q2, q3? Right. For that, let me go for qj. What is the value of qj we have found is summation over I fi dou ri by dou qj. This we have already done in the case of a transformation equation, transforming the one set of variable to another set of variable. That means transforming Cartesian equations, Cartesian, whatever the Cartesian form we have converted to generalized coordinate, Cartesian coordinate to generalized coordinate. At that time, we have derived this equation, qj is equal to summation over fi dou ri by dou qj. Okay. So as this summation is now only running for summation over I will be running for 1 to 3 only, because we are in the 3D space. So now what are the component of Fi we have written initially? What are the components of Fi? The force can be divided into 3 parts, right? The force can be divided into 3 parts, that is force acting in x, y and z direction. So that I can write it as now, this component of force, I will write it as Fx I plus Fyj plus Fzk. And what about this term? I will write this dou by dou qj of, what is the value of Ri we have? It is nothing but xi plus yj plus zk. Okay. So now with the help of this, now we can have the value of a q1. Now value of q1 will be, what will be q1? As it is for j, this is arbitrary, no? For qj. Now for this we can have the value of q1 is equal to, whenever you are having the value of j, we have to substitute 1. So what will be the value of q1? Here it is qj ना. So here instead of having j, we will have q1. q1 का आया है तुमचा x है. So let me write down here fxi plus fyj plus fzk as it is. Okay, so instead of having q1, now here we have dou by dou x. Okay, what is the value of q1? q1 is nothing but your x coordinate. So let me have this is xi plus yj plus zk. Okay, is the idea clear up to this? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else, if you are having a doubt, tell now only, because now we are going to rub this. क्या किया है हमने qj का जो हमारा इक्वेशन था लैग्रेंज इक्वेशन ऑफ मोशन उसको j इक्वल टू 1 2 3 के लिए रन किया है और j इक्वल टू 1 क्या आएगा q1 d by dt ऑफ डो t by डो q1 डॉट q1 क्या है आपका x है सो डायरेक्टली वी हैव रिटन x डॉट so here also instead of having qj it is q1 is your x coordinate Cartesian coordinate Wilber कैसे generalized coordinate here in this case okay. So here we have this equation. So to find out the values of left hand side q1, q2, q3, we are working for this because we know the value of t. If we are having the value of t, we can find out RHS of these q1, q2, q3. Okay. So now let me go for the next one. That means we are going to evaluate these equations. So we'll have q1 is equal to what was our equation? It was fxi plus fyj plus fzk, right? Into derivative of dou by dou x of xi plus yj plus zk. Okay. So this term will be as it is. What is the derivative of this term? As we are going to have a partial derivative with respect to x, what is the partial derivative of y and z with respect to x?
0.
0. So what we remains derivative of x with respect to x is 1. So what I remain simply capital I, right? And here we have fx I plus fy j plus fz k. Now can anyone tell me what is the dot product of I with fx I, fy j, fz k? Final answer. I have
fxi. fxi.
Is it fx I? I dot I तर 1 होणार ना so
fx होणार मग
fx I dot I is 1 j dot I is 0 k dot I is again 0 dot product so q1 what is the value of q1 we have obtained is fx. Now similarly can I say similarly I can have the value of q2 is equal to
fxy
fy.
ना second term बरोबर ना.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the value of q3 now? It will be simply
fz.
So in the exam also you can write similarly value of q2 and q3 because our proof is very small already, right? So hence now let me work for our in values that q1 we have written the equation. Okay, what was the value of q1 we have obtained is d by dt of dou t by dou x dot minus dou t by dou x. Now t is already known to us. T is equal to, we have written the equation 1 upon 2 m v square. V square is r dot square. We have found the value of this is x dot square plus y dot square plus z dot square. Okay. So can anyone tell me the derivative of t with respect to x dot here? ये t है तुमचा याचा डेरिवेटिव विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू x डॉट सांगा पार्शियल डेरिवेटिव. येते ना पार्शियल डेरिवेटिव्ह सगळ्यांना डेरिवेटिव्ह ऑफ टी विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू एक्स डॉट टी इज इक्वल टू 1 upon 2 m हाँ
2 into x double dot.
हाँ 2 into x double dot this 1 by 2 m as it is ना 1 by 2 into m derivative partial derivative of t with respect to x dot is 2 into x dot. So this term will be 0 again minus dou derivative of t with respect to x, whether you are having any term of x in t. t
No.
मध्ये x दिसतोय का? नाही. So what is the derivative? It will
0.
0. So what is the term here? This 2 get cancelled. Okay, let me write down. This is d by dt of 1 upon 2 m into 2x minus 0. This 2 get cancelled. Mass is a constant which I can take outside. What is the derivative of x dot with respect to once again? X double dot. बरोबर ना? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the value of Q1 we have obtained is, I can write here value of Q1 is equal to mx double dot. Can I write now similarly we can have the value of Q2 is equal to, we can have the value of Q2 will be my double dot. Value of Q3 will be mz double
Z double dot.
right? You can evaluate and you can check the value will be these only, right? So now what we have to do, we have to substitute these values, whatever the equations we have obtained here, right? These equations we have to combine. These are values of Q1, Q2, Q3. We have obtained fx, fy and fz. And here we have obtained the values Q1, Q2, Q3 as these values. Okay. So now what we have to do is, now you have to use this equation. What will be the value is Q1, Q2, Q3 के दो values आए ना हमारे. So left hand side are and right hand side are same. So we can have these values. I can write here fx is equal to, here Q1 value is fx. And what is the value of Q1 here? It is mx double dot. Right. नेक्स्ट व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट वैल्यू Q2 का वैल्यू क्या लिया, क्या आया था हमारा Fy, एंड व्हाट इज द वैल्यू Q2 हियर वी हैव ऑब्टेन्ड इज My डबल डॉट. नेक्स्ट what is the value of Q3 we have obtained is Fz, and here we have obtained the value of Q3 is Mz double dot. Okay, now let me put all those equation in our equation of a force. What is our equation of force? We have equation of force is fxi plus fyj plus fzk. So what is the value of fx we have obtained is mx double dot into I plus what is the value of fy is my double dot into j. What is the value of fz we have obtained is mz double dot k. Now can you tell me what are the, okay, let me write down this on the next step. What is the value of f we will have if I take m outside from this, mx double dot I, my double dot j plus mz double dot k. If I take m outside, what is the equation? X double dot I, y double dot j plus z double dot k. What is this equation? Can anyone tell me?
R double dot.
RI double dot.
RI डबल डॉट का क्या वैल्यू था? हम फर्स्ट लेक्चर में देखा था ना हमने. RI डॉट वेलोसिटी. RI डबल डॉट क्या है?
Acceleration का.
एक्सेलरेशन है ना, राइट? एक्सेलरेशन इज नथिंग बट रेट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ वेलोसिटी. व्हाट इज वेलोसिटी? वेलोसिटी इज रेट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ पोजीशन वेक्टर, राइट? So RI double dot is nothing but acceleration. So hence we have derived the Newton's second law, that is F is equal to ma from Lagrange's equations of motion. Is there any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So let us go for the next example, that is a simple pendulum. Okay, let me go for the next example, that is a simple pendulum. In this lecture we'll see only the construction of the simple pendulum. I hope you are knowing simple pendulum as if you are having the subject of physics. So how you are going to construct a simple pendulum? First we'll have some rigid support, right? Okay, then we have some thread of length L or some wire of length L right? With some mass m, that is a particle of mass m. So it will be having the motion in this particular area. Actually, my figure is not so good. I'm not capable with writing these all. So this is what our rigid support, and this is our length of a particle, and this is our vertical. Okay. So here the particle is moving in the circular motion. Assume this is circular because I am not much more familiar with this. Okay. So this is what our x coordinate, this is y coordinate, and I can say here this is our perpendicular angle, and this value we are going to take it, some name is capital N, and whatever the distance we have, this I will name it as capital A, and this is a position of a particle P, which we can describe with some two coordinate, that is x and y. And what is this? This is an angle theta, which is made by a straight line with a vertical, right? So how you are going to construct a simple pendulum? How you are going to construct a simple pendulum? Let us have a inextensible and weightless string. Actually weightless string तो आपको मिलेगा नहीं, कुछ तो weight obviously होगा. Inextensible, a weightless string of a length L. Let P be the position of the particle at any point, because these two coordinate x and y will describe the position of a particle at any point, but they are related by equation x square plus y square is equal to L square. Pythagoras theorem, no? This, for this area I can take a Pythagoras theorem. X square plus y square is equal to L square. And now, how many degrees of freedom it will have? Because we have these equations. X and y are given to us Cartesian coordinate, but they are related by equation. What is the equation? X square plus y square is equals to L square, right? X square plus y square is equal to L square. Two Cartesian coordinate, they are related by one equation. So how many generalized coordinate I will give you? Only one generalized coordinate. And what is that generalized coordinate? That is nothing but this angle theta. अगर आपको एंगल थीटा पता है तो ऑब्वियसली आप पार्टिकल का पोजीशन कहाँ पे है वो ऑब्वियसली दिखा सकते हो, राइट? These two coordinate x and y also give you the position, but they are dependent on each other. X square plus y square is equal to L square. So if you know value of x, then you can find out the value of y, because L is constant. L square काय आहे? L square पण constant असणार आहे. Why? Because this length is constant, ना, variable length नहीं है. That is compound pendulum, right? So here if length is fixed, L square is also fixed. So they are related by one equation. So hence two Cartesian coordinate, they are related by one equation. So how many generalized coordinate I will have? That is one generalized coordinate. Is it idea the clear for everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Two Cartesian coordinate, they are related by one equation. So one generalized coordinate, that is nothing but our angle theta. Okay. So hence now we can have, let me write down what will be x, right? Can anyone tell me what will be sine theta now? From this equation figure.
X by L.
X by L, that is opposite side divided by hypotenuse. What will be the value of cos theta?
Y
by L.
Adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. So in this way, I can have the value of x is equals to L sine theta, right? Value of y, I can have L cos theta. Okay. In this also, we are going to have the kinetic energy. T is equal to, what is kinetic energy? 1/2
mv square.
That is nothing but r dot square.
R dot.
To m. Now the particle is considered in the plane. So how many generalized coordinate will have? Only two, right? R is equal to xi plus yj only, because we are considering only two Cartesian coordinate, right? So hence what will be r dot? It is nothing but x dot I plus y dot j, right? Similarly, what will be r dot square? I hope you remember just now we have done x dot square plus y डॉट स्क्वायर, इन दोनों का मल्टीप्लीकेशन करना है आपको। i डॉट आई वन आएगा, x डॉट स्क्वायर होगा, i डॉट j will be 0, j dot I will be again 0, j dot j is 1, that is coefficient is y dot square. Okay, so here can I write directly? It will be x dot square plus y dot square, or should I evaluate once again what is r dot square? R dot square is x dot I plus y dot j into again x dot I plus y dot j. Ka inner multiplication x dot x dot x dot square. I dot I is 1. Okay. I dot j is 0. J dot I is 0. J dot j is 1. What is the coefficient y dot y dot? That is y dot square. Okay. So now we are knowing the value of x dot and y dot. Here we have to find out the value, x and y we are knowing. So hence we have to find out now value of x dot and y dot. After finding x dot and y dot, put up in your equation and you will get the result. Okay. So these things we are going to see in the next lecture. We will find out the value of x dot and y dot and we'll put up in the value of t, and then we will evaluate the next thing. Okay, that is we are going to evaluate the Lagrange's equations of a motion. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
is there any doubt for anyone?
No, ma'am.
Let me end the lecture. Thank you. You can leave the meeting.